Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Selling Greenville, your favorite real estate podcast here in lovely Greenville, South Carolina. I am your host, like I always am, Stan McCune. I am a realtor here in Greenville, South Carolina. That's why I know about real estate. And you can find all my contact information in the show notes. I would love to be able to help you with your real estate needs, buying, selling, whatever those needs may be. I can help you. I can even connect you with people that potentially might be looking to rent. There's a lot of things that I do because I have my foot in the door in a lot of aspects of real estate. So feel free to hit me up, look up my contact information. I'm really easy to reach. I try to answer my phone whenever it rings. And if I don't, then I will call you back, I promise. But you can text me or email me as well. And just a reminder, please give this show a rating or a review. I'm trying to get as many of those as possible. Subscribe to it. If you're not subscribed, you don't want to miss episodes. You might be on my email list, but I would still rather you subscribe to it so that you don't miss it. And I would appreciate that. I notice when people do that. I notice when people leave the ratings or the reviews. So thank you very much to those of you that have. Let's keep that going. And feel free to let me know if this show isn't on the podcast platform that you use. Someone asked me recently if it was on Spotify. Yes, it is on Spotify. You just search Selling Greenville, and you'll find it on there. It's on Audio Boom. I believe I'm on Stitcher Radio, Google Play. A lot of different options. We're on there. Today, we are going to talk about the values of a good realtor, the values that a good realtor, I should say, provides. And this might not be the most exciting topic to a lot of you, and this might seem like a little bit of me patting myself on the back. I'm not trying to do that. You guys know that that's not the type of person that I am, or I try not to pat myself on the back too hard. Let me say it that way. But I hear a lot of times people will tell me why they chose a realtor. And oftentimes, it's not for very good reasons. It might just be, that they like their personality. And granted, personality is a big factor, but it shouldn't be the only factor. It might just be that realtor had a listing on a property that they wanted to buy. And so they called that realtor up, and without giving thought towards being represented, they just went ahead and went with that realtor. It's kind of like a car salesman calling up a car salesman that has a car at his shop and saying, hey, I want to buy that car, except that in cars sales, you don't get represented by parties, and there's no fiduciary relationships. Car salesmen only represent themselves. In real estate, you actually have an opportunity to be represented by someone, and you should take advantage of that because it's, for a lot of people, their biggest investment. They need to make sure they've got someone on their side to actually help them out and make sure that they don't make a mistake or get into a legal issue or whatever the case may be. And so there are a lot of different reasons that people will select a realtor, and I respect that. And by the way, I just want to say, if you've used a realtor before and you had a great experience with them, then stay with them. I don't ever ask someone to leave a realtor that they loved and come to me just because I want more business. There's a lot of great realtors out there, and I always encourage anyone to be loyal. If your realtor did a good job for you, reward them for that. And I want my clients to do that, and I want the clients of the other good realtors out there to do that as well. But we have more realtors, more active realtors in the Greenville market, in the upstate, than we have homes for sale. So that means that there are a lot of fly-by-night realtors out there. The average realtor in their entire career in this market hardly sells any homes. I can't remember what the exact stat is, but I think the average realtor sells in their entire career in this market less than 10 homes, something crazy like that. And that's because we have a lot of people that will get the realtor license and never sell a home, or they will just do it part-time for a little bit, and then they'll realize, oh, it actually costs thousands of dollars a year potentially to be a realtor. This doesn't make sense unless I'm closing have several closings a year. And so there's all sorts of things that factor into this, where we have a lot of people getting their real estate license and then not actually making any money doing it. And or they might get some clients, but perhaps they shouldn't. Maybe they don't have a lot of qualifications for being a realtor. So I respect anyone that gets a real estate license, but there are some things that a good realtor provides that the bad ones don't, just quite frankly. And I know, because I have to deal with realtors that aren't very good. I was amazed. Just recently, I had a situation where I asked a realtor who hasn't been especially good to work with, in my opinion. I asked this realtor who is representing the buyers for a listing that I have. I asked this realtor to just send me the name of the appraiser and the amount of square footage that the appraisal listed my listing as having. And there's a very specific reason why I need that information, because when we get to closing, I have to enter that into the MLS. And that data is actually very valuable down the road. That data is what other appraisers and other realtors will end up using. It's been multiple episodes now that I've had a hard time with the word realtor. But in any event, that data is actually used by realtors, and more importantly, future appraisers, to assess home values, because then they base the value of a home based on the price per square foot. And so the square foot has to be accurate. If the appraiser's name is in there, then one appraiser might call that appraiser to ask, hey, why did you come up with this value, et cetera, et cetera. So that information is really valuable. The long story short, the reason where I'm going with that is that this realtor just sent me the entire appraisal, which is a major ethical violation. Like, that realtor could get in massive trouble for doing that. You have to get special permission. That appraisal is considered the property of the buyer. And to just send that to the listing agent is a big deal. And I can assure you, based on the amount of time that appraisal was sent in, from the time I requested that information until the time that it came in, that this realtor did not get permission to do that. So my point is, there are realtors that are doing a good job. There are realtors that aren't doing a good job. And here's a few ways that you can assess a good realtor and the value that they provide. All right. We talked about this a lot. I like to use the term Rolodex. It's just a great word, even though now it's used metaphorically versus literally. We don't have literal Rolodexes on our desk where we go through people's phone numbers. But maybe I should say this: the network that a realtor has, that is one of the most underrated, but one of the most powerful values that a realtor can provide. His or her network. Who does he or her know? I have clients all the time being like, "Hey, can you give me a good surveyor? Can you give me a good structural engineer? Do you know a good inspector for this? Do you know someone that can do this? Do you know a contractor, an electrician, a plumber?" I get people all the time that are constantly needing these types of things. And not only do I know people that I've worked with in the past, but I know some of the people that I would not recommend working with. And I also know people that are more likely to take, for instance, smaller jobs than and those that are going to be more interested in bigger jobs. And so this is something you can't understate this. A realtor that just graduated from college, and there were some that I went to real estate school that were straight out of college, had never owned a house themselves. They probably did not have the right network in order to be able to get that stuff done. They are going to be relying on other people. They're probably going to be the ones going on Facebook and saying, "Hey, do you guys know a structural engineer?" I don't need to do that. I know people. I know structural engineers, and I can assist with that and help to get that set up if one of those is needed. So their network, their Rolodex. Secondly, understanding of current trends. And this is a very broad stroke. I recognize understanding current trends related to what? Exactly. That's my point. Understanding, I guess I should say, particularly when it comes to real estate, but just knowing what's happening in the world, what's happening in the economy, what's happening in the mortgage industry, what's happening in the local real estate market, what's happening in politics, local politics, national politics. Those are things that are really important. A realtor that is disconnected from the current trends might be just stuck in their own little bubble. And the more aware that they are of all of those different things, the more helpful they can be for helping you to strategize, for helping you to know what you're doing. Because most people, when they buy a house, it's a big part of their 5-year plan, their 10-year plan, whatever the case may be. Even if they don't have an actual 5 or 10-year plan spelled out, in their mind, they're thinking, we're going to live in this home for this many years, or we're going to have this as a rental property for this many years. There are those plans that people have in their mind, and you need to have a realtor that understands what is happening right now and where things are going in the next 5 or 10 years in order to best serve you as you're trying to prepare for the next 5 or 10 years. Number 3, and we've talked about this before, but the ability to accurately project. Real estate, a lot of real estate involves projecting, particularly when you're investing. We talked about this before, but when you're buying an investment property, there is going to be something wrong, almost certainly. If it's an investment property that is where you're getting equity in it, or an investment property, like a quadruplex or something like that, that's on the market and that is actually a good deal, there's something wrong with it. Because good investment properties in a seller's market do not come on the market unless there is something wrong with it. Either it needs work, or the tenants are being a drag, or it's having issues with flooding, or whatever the case may be. It's going to need work. And so a good realtor can project a lot of different things, can project what some of the rehab costs will be, can project what the after repair value, what some people call the ARV, what that will be, can project what should market rents be. A lot of the best investment properties that come on the market oftentimes are just properties that are rented for less than what they should. The landlord doesn't realize that, and the landlord is like, he gets to a point, or she gets to a point where they're like, we're just done with this. We just want to sell and just get our money out of it. They don't realize that they're renting it out for $400 a month per door, and they should be getting $700 a month per door. Me as a realtor, that's one of the main things that I take pride in, is that I can accurately project those things, and I can figure out, okay, here's what the situation is now, here's what it would take to improve it, and here's what the result is going to be once it has been improved. So that's a really important part of what a realtor is able to do. Fourthly, all right, we're going down the list here. I'm trying to go through this quickly because I know that you guys all have your own opinions of realtors. I'm not trying to drag it out. Knowledge of the major companies, and by companies I mean real estate companies, real estate firms, real estate investors, real estate wholesalers, and just the other big players in the market. That's a big part of it. And when someone comes to me and they ask me a question, I get questions from time to time about like large multifamily type of deals, which are more in commercial space. Or sometimes people will ask me about other forms of commercial real estate. And I'll just be honest. Hey, listen, I'm not a commercial realtor. That's not the world that I live in. I do know some things about that. There are some similarities and some overlap between the small multifamily and mid-sized multifamily deals that I do and some of the large multifamily, like apartment complexes. I've been on the HOA board, and I currently am for apartment complexes. So I I am knowledgeable, but there are limitations to that. And when it comes to the commercial real estate world, I'm just going to be upfront about that. But when it comes to residential, I try to be as knowledgeable as possible. I'm trying to network all the time with lenders, with real estate investors, with real estate wholesalers, with inspectors, and just all of the people that are involved in this industry. I try to become knowledgeable about them so that somewhere down the road, I can use that knowledge. Maybe I know that a certain appraiser is known for giving low appraisals and doesn't really do his or her homework. And so when I see that they are scheduled to be the appraiser, I push back and I go to the lender and say, hey, we don't want this appraiser. You can do that. It can be sometimes a headache, but you can do that. When it comes to the firms in the area, the real estate firms, the brokerages, there are some brokerages that when their name comes across, for instance, when I'm listing a home, I see their name and I just kind of cringe. And of course, I'm very careful with what I do or what I say. I'm not going to discriminate from any offer or from any realtor or tell or withhold an offer from my clients or anything like that. But I might have some information on the side of like, okay, here's the offer. Now, I did have a bad experience with this realtor one time, but that may have just been an anomaly. But here's the offer. And then let my clients, if they have specific questions, they can ask me those questions. Well, tell me more about this experience. For my buyer clients as well, same thing. There are some realtors that just get it. That if I see their listing, I know, okay, this realtor, this is going to be almost certainly a smooth transaction. I'm gonna highly recommend this realtor to my clients. And then others, it might be like, I'm not going to say anything good or bad about this realtor. If my clients ask me, I'll be honest with them. But it's my last experience with them wasn't necessarily good. So I'm going to maybe add some extra language to the offer that we put in there because that realtor didn't seem to understand some aspect of the last transaction that I did with them. So I'm going to clarify some things. I'm going to give them a call and ask them a few extra questions. Things like that. That is part of what goes into this job, is knowing all these different players in the market and using that knowledge to benefit my clients in my case, or for another realtor, their clients. Fifthly, having a team to support and assist is the fifth value that a good realtor provides. Now, I don't necessarily mean a realtor that has their team named after them. I am on a team, but it's not my team. There's a variety of reasons for that. I work currently, I'm with the Morgan Group, which is a team with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, C. Dan Joyner Realtors. Being on a team gives me access to a lot of different things. That we have a team assistant. She does a lot of the paperwork and house drawings and different things for me to free me up so that I don't have to be the one that is constantly busy with all sorts of things that don't really help my clients. She handles a lot of stuff like that for me. Other realtors on my team, they can show houses when I'm not available. So I've got clients that need to look at a house. Well, another realtor on my team, we have an agreement already set up. They can go show them houses, and we help each other out in that way. Additionally, if a question comes up that I've not dealt with, I have people that I can go to where I don't just have to be posting a question on Facebook and getting, who knows what type of responses from different people out there. I can actually go to people who have been in the market for 20, 30, 40 years with a question of something that I haven't run into before, or that I just want to make sure that I'm accurate on, and get that help. And of course, being on a bigger brokerage, I've got a broker who is extremely experienced. who can really assist in a lot of ways. Again, this is me talking as of first quarter of 2020. If you're listening, or sorry, first quarter of 2021. Oh no, I did that. This is in the first quarter of 2021. If you're listening to this years later, I can't promise that I'm with the same broker. But I will always make sure that I have a team to support and assist, to make sure that even though I am kind of the spoke of the wheel, that's how I see myself as a realtor, the one through whom a real estate transaction goes through, and I take that seriously. I also have people to support me so that if for some reason I am not able to 100% complete a task, for instance, the other a couple of years ago for my 10th anniversary, I went to with my wife to Punta Cana for 10 days. Well, guess what? I didn't leave my clients high and dry. That was one of my best months I've ever had in real estate. And that was because I had people on my team that could step in and do the things that I couldn't do and in person. And then the things that could be done remotely, I just got up a little bit earlier, while my wife was still in bed and just knocked those things out. No big deal. I like what I do. I don't mind working while I'm in Punta Cana. It's just a little bit better view. So having a team, people that can step in, but also that don't interfere. There are some teams that will actually interfere. I had a friend of mine that was a realtor that was telling me the team that he was on during the time that he attempted to be a realtor, they just were keeping him busy. And he wasn't able to be going out there trying to get business and doing his job because he was just constantly in meetings, constantly being given assignments and being told do this and do that. And the team actually interfered. So I'm on a team, and this is really important to me. I'm on a team that doesn't do that. They don't interfere. They allow me to run my business the way I want to, but then I have team resources, people that can assist and help me be able to get my transactions to the finish line and to support my clients when they need it. And so that's a big part of it. And number 6, and this is my last one, a good realtor provides an organizational system. And at the end of the day, you are probably going to lose your closing documents or documents that were important. You might not even realize at the time that you're buying or selling a home what documents are important. Having a realtor that's organized and that can hold on to that stuff for you for a really long time, for years later, is extremely valuable. I can't tell you how many times I've had clients come to me and be like, hey, Stan, do you have that elevation certificate from however many years ago? Why, yes, as a matter of fact, I do. And here it is in your folder. I can pull that out and email that to you in 10 seconds. That's something that, again, you don't realize until you need it how important that is. And the good realtors, they're all very organized. They have a CRM. They use, DocuSign transaction rooms or whatever the case may be to keep all their contracts for years and years. There's all sorts of things that they do for organization. And I think that is a really important part of it as well, just to make sure that communication doesn't get dropped along the way. It's very easy. As a realtor, I'm getting calls, texts, emails, dozens of times a day. How do I ensure that I can keep up with all that? Well, I have a very rigid organizational system that, for the most part, I don't want to jinx myself, but for the most part, it keeps me from failing to follow up with someone or from failing to do something that needs to be done, because I have systems in place to remind me and to make sure that I reach back out to this person or that person or whatever the case may be. And it's easy to ignore that, to not realize how important it is for a realtor to be organized. But let me tell you, when you're busy, if you don't have those organizational systems in place and you're in this business, you're going to get overwhelmed very, very quickly. And I hear stories of realtors all the time like, oh man, I forgot to schedule that inspection, or I forgot to do this. Someone told me recently that I'm one of the few people that like schedules a certain type of inspection like several weeks before it's really necessary. And I was like, they were just telling me that the realtors they deal with typically do it at the very last second, and then are like stressing them out saying, hey, I need you to get out there today. And that stresses me out just thinking about that. And part of why I don't do that is because I'm not waiting until the last second. I already have in my CRM a system to tell me when to do things in case I somehow forget it. And so when we're there at the last second, I'm not having to all of a sudden scramble to get it done. Again, I'm not trying to just pat myself on the back too hard here, but these are examples from my own career, from my own experience that I can share with you guys to, quite frankly, because I don't have a whole lot of other experience to share, right? I can't share a ton of experience from other people. I don't want to share a bunch of negative examples from other realtors. I feel like I've done enough of that. That's not really my purpose of this episode. But hopefully now you understand that a good realtor does a whole lot more. A lot of people think that realtors just show houses and then go to closings and collect their check. But really, that's not the way it is for good realtors. That there are some realtors that do that. I hope and I strive to not be one of them. If you have any questions about any of that, please let me know. My contact information is in the show notes. As always, leave us a rating, review, subscribe to the show, all those good things. I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. Stay safe. Let's buy and sell some houses together.